Certain figures show up in folk tales all around the world, and one of these favorite characters is the trickster. In the Arab countries, he has many names, but the most common probably is Juha, and here are two short stories of Juha's trickery and wisdom. Juha and the Cooking Pot. One day, Juha decided to invite many friends over to his home and give them a feast. He would cook a lamb, but he did not have a large enough cooking pot, and so he went to his neighbor's and knocked upon the door. Now this neighbor knew Juha and was not fond of him.
"Friend," said Juha, "I am having some company this evening. May I borrow your largest cooking pot?"
"Well, I don't—"
Please, said Juha. "I will return it to you first thing tomorrow, and you won't be sorry."
And he winked. The neighbor grumbled and wondered whether he was doing the wise thing or not. But in he went, and he brought back his large, beautiful, copper cooking pot. "Now you be sure that you have it back to me tomorrow morning, Juha."
"Oh, yes. Don't you worry about it. You have it back."
And Juha took the pot, and he cooked the lamb and served the lamb feast to his guests. The next day, he was back at the neighbor's door knocking, and he was carrying the big copper cooking pot. "Why, thank you, Juha," said the surprised neighbor. But when he lifted the cooking pot, there was something inside. He could hear it rattling around. He lifted the lid, and inside he found another, smaller copper cooking pot.
"What's this?" he said. "Oh, good fortune to you and all your family," said Juha. "During the night, your copper cooking pot gave birth to this little baby copper cooking pot."
"What?" laughed the neighbor. "Well, thank you, that's wonderful." And he took the cooking pot in. About a week later, Juha came back and knocked on the door and once again said,
"Do you mind if I borrow that copper cooking pot of yours again?"
"Why, no," thought the neighbor, who was greedy and hoped for another little one to be born. Juha took the pot, but he did not bring it back the next day, or the day after that, or the day after that. And finally, when a week had passed, the neighbor went and knocked on Juha's door and said, "Juha, where is my big copper cooking pot?"
"Alas, my dear friend,"
said Juha, pretending sadness.
"Have you not heard the tragic news about your copper cooking pot?"
"What do you mean? What tragic news about my cooking pot?"
"The very night you loaned it to me, your copper cooking pot died."
"Died? What do you mean it died? How can a copper cooking pot die?"
"Well," said Juha, "if a copper cooking pot can give birth, what's to stop it from dying?"
And that was the last the neighbor ever saw of his copper cooking pot. Juha goes to a party. One day, Juha was invited to a fancy party. Only he didn't realize it was going to be fancy, and he went in his ordinary street clothes. Since he was a poor man, these were not at all elegant, and the servants at this place would not let him in. In fact, they almost threw him out into the street. And so Juha turned around and went home and changed into the only really clean, really fancy clothes that he owned. This time when he went back, the servants welcomed him, thinking he must be an important man. And they brought him in and they sat him down in a place of honor at the table, and they gave him all the food and drink that he wished for. As he was sitting there eating, he reached out for some food, and his sleeve dragged in the gravy. The guest sitting next to Juha said, "Psst, hey!" What, said Juha.
Your sleeve! You're dragging your sleeve in the gravy. Get it out of the gravy."
But Juha looked at his sleeve and smiled, and to the other man's surprise, Juha dipped his sleeve further into the gravy, and then speaking to his sleeve, he said,
"Well, sleeve, go ahead and eat your fill. Eat all you want, since it's obvious that you, and not I, are the guest who is welcome in this house.
For more titles from Jim Weiss and Well-Trained Mind Press, please visit us at jimweiss.com or welltrainedmind.com. Thank you for listening.